YouTube, live with Jack. I'm here against all odds. Made it for an 8:45 stream. Look, I think that there's a big chance that we call it maybe early, maybe shut her down, but one thing's for certain is we're trying it out today. We're trying out a new engine, a new experiment, a new little game. I came across Dan Coe on Twitter. I guess he was like a copywriter to begin with, maybe a designer, and then comes out and starts writing content, grows pretty big account, and then now he's got this really nice product, which is actually I would suppose it's like an AI tool for building your ecosystem of content, your content engine, if you want to call it. I don't know if that's where the engine term came from, but Engine B for broadcast. We're broadcasting live from, where am I? Woodinville, Washington. And we're a minute in. So what can we expect today? I am going to run through a little run of show. I'm going to use Dan Coe's tool, Eden, and see if it's a good fit for what I'm trying to do, which is read the markets every day and use my AI to supplement a bit of an evaluation or a deeper auto research sort of run on top of maybe the board or knowledge graph or whatever they call it that they run over at Eden. And so today I'm going to open up my scene here, and you can see this is my graph. So this is my Obsidian vault of my OpenClaw and all of my ChatGPT data that I use to tone and hone my voice. But over the years, that has become somewhat of a, not over the years, over the weeks and months, has become somewhat of a, what would you say? A hairball, I think they call it. I think this is like literally just one thing. It is just a corpus of all of my conversations with ChatGPT and other LLMs. So it's not like it's that much of a hairball if you really look into it, but I guess it's me who's the hairball. So anyway, there's some of these aspects on the outside that haven't yet synced up or haven't yet gotten their place in home. So that is kind of where I'm at on the Wikigraph side. It's big, it's large, it's loud. I do know what I'm doing. I'm just a little lazy on the data management side because it's just like, it doesn't feel like it's really pushing me forward today. But anyway, this is a pretty good little cluster. It shows our biggest topics. I guess we could show this off real quick before we jump into Eden. Open it up in a new tab. This is the synthesis of all 1.5 million words that I've spoken to ChatGPT. Maybe more. I don't know. It's about 2,500 conversations independently that I've ingested into ChatGPT and into my vault over the last, I just did it all at once a month ago or so, but I wanted to put it into a vault and take my data back. So this is the top 200 topics that I ran. Naturally, I just have these conversations. And so AI systems came out on top, integration, systems thinking, mind-body integration, actually, which would be interesting to read. And then systems design, AI agent strategy, and chakra systems. So it looks like systems is getting kind of combobulated there. Or maybe there's some alignment. I don't know. Business strategy was another top topic. And then capital, deals, content and brand, and general. And then identity and meaning was actually very big, where I guess I was spending a lot of time trying to figure out where the hell am I going in the first place. So anyway, that's kind of fun to look at and see that, like, oh, you look at this and you probably see This one doesn't even have an edge attached to it, so it's like just not even a good representation or map. Anyway, so that's what's going on with my Chrome. I was chatting with Gemini the other day, but here we go. This is what I've got pulled up in Eden for us today. A little run of show I think would be Prem de la Prem. I have this set up, Engine C, where I can run these prompts and they'll sort of run us through production. But first things first, we're going to run the daily brief and see what kind of action Eden pulls from us from the market. So the daily brief I have set up for it to go out into the market and identify top 3 posts, maybe, across the major topics of AI, capital markets, and attention economy. And so we tested it out last night, pulled in some pretty interesting ones. And so my idea is that the way that I work, at least, is I'll pull in these tweets, I'll get familiarized with them, read them, or do whatever I need to do to ingest them into my brain. And then what's going to happen is after that, I'm going to be able to pick one, and one out of the 6 or 3 or 9 or whatever. Daily brief. The brief didn't come through this turn if you're trying to reference it. So that's interesting. Delivery note, script. I think I gotta start a new engine anyway. Oh, because I'm on engine B, bro. Alright, so let's start a new chat and let's try that one again. So let's go, because I'm new to this, right? So I said we were probably gonna cut this thing early. No, anyway, I'm new to this tool. So I think we should start a new chat. We should split our chat. I think we should come on now. Engine B. So let's pull this guy open. Maybe I'm just out of a sip of coffee. So let's see, daily brief. Let's see if this actually works, because hey Eden, I'd like for you to run my daily brief, pulling in sources and posts across 3 channels that we are looking to pull in. Boop. So the thing with using new tools, man, is it just takes up so much time. Like, you build a new workflow and all of a sudden it's taking you days. It'll take you days. Okay, so here we go. It's searching posts now. All right. And then on this side, we got it cooked anyway. Engine B. I got the hiccup, sorry. I must be trying to start a new brief. No, new board. So let's just do a brand new board. This is going to be live with Jack. 000 engine B. Calling it in from the command center. Boom. So this guy came in. He's still thinking on that. I'm liking that. And so I also have my OpenClaw connected into this system as well. So the one thing that's super nice about Eden is that it actually has its own MCP server, which means that other agent systems or things like that, Claude or Codebase CLIs and all these things, even I think Codex could, right here. For sure it could. So if I go into my Telegram and I'm here and I say, hey OpenClaw, pull an Open Whisper so I don't have to type, right? Hey OpenClaw, what are you seeing from my boards? Do I have a dedicated engine B board setup for today. We're live on stream, so don't swear. Well, so this is still taking quite some time to search for these briefs, which is, it's a good sign. Like, if you're doing research or doing market intelligence, signal intelligence, you'd hope that it doesn't show up and come in the next, in the first minute of them going out and scraping the internet, right? You don't want the first thing you find. What are the odds that the first thing you find is going to be the legit best? So, as you can see, OpenClaw's brining Eden, search, workspace items, list workspaces. So you can see it's telling me how it's using its tools to use the Eden MCP to determine where it is, what it's doing, X, Y, and Z. So it's like these things work and they're very functional. And I think when you have something that potentially wants to be a workflow for you in the long run, it's good to spend the time to upskill and get the ideas out there and get the, I would say, workflow down on paper, the inputs, the outputs that you're actually looking for, so that you can track success, experiment with the workflow, see if it's going to be something that is going to drive productivity and outputs for you. And if it is, then great, you spent that time, but if it wasn't worth that time, then, okay, well, let's look at the decision behind that and identify, okay, what were you actually trying to do? Why were you trying to do it? Was it the tool that ended up being the problem? Or was it, your own tool? Was it your lack of knowledge that was causing issues? Or just poor user error? Or you just didn't have the workflow set up correctly. So there's so many different things that could go wrong when you start playing around with AI. As a business person, you have 24 hours in a day. And what happens when you spend an hour of your workday trying to set up some bullshit workflow AI agent shenanigans, right? I think that's the difference between making a decision and choosing to implement it cleanly and quickly and taking action on that within the first 24 hours. Maybe you're taking a shit and you get this idea for a workflow. Well, hey, if you can't implement that thing right the hell away, get that thing tested out and experimented with within the first 24 hours to the point where you're going to know within that first 24 hours if the thing is worth committing to and hardening out and working with that tool for the long term. But if you don't test it ever, if you wait 3 weeks and deliberate, like, you're just wasting time, right? So if you hire someone out too, and they're like, only for that one experiment project, and you're like, I just need somebody to build this real quick, it's just like, it's just a fucking slog. Takes a week to hire the guy, takes a week for him to sign the contract and sign it back. Now all of a sudden he's testing out this thing that I don't even really remember why I was building it. I think that's my problem with the AI workspace right now. But let's see, maybe we can give this thing a refresh and hope that it actually is a tool that can function. So am I mad at the tool, or am I mad at the way that the AI workspace or the AI market has kind of developed over the last few months? People clearly want to use AI and try these things out. But man, I'll tell you what. There's something special about being able to build and experiment AI with yourself. And I'll wait for that, put that to the side because it doesn't look like it wants to load. And I don't even know how to close it. Maybe I just close it down. Shoot. Well, I'll just keep it quiet for now over here on the left. On the right, we'll see if we can ever see that thing pop up. Might come back to bite us here, but we'll see. It's all about experiment and running it through the first time. It's only been 15 minutes, so morning coffee, get your shenanigans in, and then get on with your day. Okay. Or let me do it. Shit. So the UN has published a framework centered on attention sovereignty. Okay, let me scroll to the top of this thing real quick just so we can see what did it actually give us, because I don't want to be out of my limb here. So it said, Morning Jack, here's the live brief for July 2nd, 2026. Q2 already. I pulled some sources. Shit. Sorry, I had a brain fart. I pulled sources across all 3 lanes and scanned your following for what's breaking through. Okay. I can work with this. AI lane 1. Over the last few years, 4 patterns of work have already shifted. Most leadership teams have not noticed. Over the last few years, the way tech and software gets built has moved through 4 distinct patterns of human-agent collaboration. The same patterns are beginning to show up across the other functions of the firm: author, editor, director, orchestrator. The constraint is no longer what people can do, it's how work is structured around them. Microsoft's 2026 Work Trend Index, 20,000 workers, 10 countries, trillions of 365 signals, found 49% of Copilot conversations support cognitive work, and 50% of AI users say they're producing work they couldn't have a year ago. The same week, OpenAI Frontier entire enterprise platform went production with Uber, Inuit, State Farm, HP, and Oracle, so they're going big bucks. Moving the task-based assistants to AI coworkers with shared context makes sense. The thing that's so interesting to me is OpenAI has had our data for so long. They've been using it to build out their tools, like their memory. My goodness, I would love to see what it looks like behind ChatGPT. Because look, this is what your boy cooks up, And I have some other vaults. This is my ChatGPT data. I wonder what their ChatGPT data looks like. I can come in here and look at intuition clarity or incentive structures. Well, that's a good one. Look at all these conversations, independence, that were about incentives and incentive structures. That is fun that I can do that. In the past, it wasn't so easy to really look at that data for yourself. Anyway, so that's lane 1. The gap is closing on the 6-month gap. So the 6-month gap is the recognition that what's happening out on the frontier is largely 6 months ahead of what's happening in the corporate world, at least. A lot of times what's happening on the media side too. So what's getting picked up in the news, what's getting talked about, what's the drama and the hype guys making their posts about. It's usually 6 months behind what's actually happening on the frontier and what's being used in the people that are building these tools, workflows. Everybody right now is just talking about loops. Like, agents haven't been a thing really in a minute. Like, agents are fine, but it's like, what? What, are you going to date it? It's like you got to run an engineering loop and run like 10, 20 agents and have those things just cranking out work like a team. That's the type of work that Copilot could not do a year ago, is this like fully autonomous, just like go prove that loop for me. So that's my lane 1. Lane 2, capital markets and business. Private credit and tokenization. Private credit faces its first real test as AUM hits $2.2 trillion. Private credit, this has been a big one. I wonder what the rate's at right now. Private credit has grown rapidly from a niche alternative lending market into a mainstream source of capital. Assets under management now exceed $2.2 trillion and are exceeded to exceed 4.5 trillion by 2030. The current cycle is likely to widen the gap between stronger and weaker private credit markets. As with any fast-growing asset class, some lenders will have stretched too far, moved too quickly, or applied insufficient rigor to their underwriting of the new loans. Private credit is not quite in a crisis, but it is facing its first major test. So keep that in mind as we come into a season of potentially looking at changing the rates around. I would suggest that they are going to be watching out for that for sure. But private credit is beautiful because big banks don't give a shit if private credit loans go bad. They just take them for, whatever they can get them. So I wouldn't be too worried about this. I think, like it says, tokenization, though, is going live, and we do see that a lot. We see a lot of the tokenized private credit bringing in new markets, things that the big banks and things like traditional banks can't quite get to. Things like real world asset tokenization, but mainly the GPUs. There's been some big plays happening in the private credit world around GPUs and hardware. And you can't actually go get a loan for your business right now to go set up some small GPUs because they don't know how to underwrite it. And so what's happening right now is that there's credit markets that are taking crypto and backing these hardware assets and using that as the collateral on the loan itself. So some people from the crypto world are tokenizing these GPUs. And then what are they doing? Tokenizing the GPUs. The GPUs then get lent out to the borrower who's putting up they're borrowing that cash. They're probably putting some equity in. And then in return, they're getting that nice, fat, juicy return of probably 9, 12, or even 15% on some of these. I'm guessing it's probably up there. And then, to be fair, what's probably happening is they don't mind if the loans go bad, because if they don't do it, well, A, you're on the hook for paying it back, but two, I mean, you can kind of just take that hardware back. You didn't lose all that much. It's not like construction where nothing was built, right? Or a half-assed, like some pipes got went in, but put more money into this thing, right? This thing, no, they got assets. They got things that can draw attention. Hey, and make some returns. So, signal from my lens. The capital market lane is where the three-field convergence becomes physical. Okay. Tokenization turns private credit, private equity, and real estate into programmable assets. Like I was saying, those GPUs are like these stacks of these like little mini data centers. Those things are programmable, tokenizable, and they generate some damn good cash flow. I'll tell you that. I want to know how much cash flow. Man, my internet must be goofing out. How much cash flow can a single solo GPU stack, like a little GPU mini stack, not a computer, but like something that you would get for like a $30 million loan, for example, for your business, and how much cash flow could that thing really spit off every month? That's my question. That's my question for you, Mr. Goog. So anyway, that's pretty interesting. M&A's heating up a little bit. I guess tokenization and crypto and underwriting and all that's heating up the M&A market and the private credit market and all that. Okay. Yeah, I could see that M&A game turning up here with some strategic buys, flipping some deals, putting some AI in them, flipping them, putting some local AI and some hardware in a company and All of a sudden, you're sovereign. Hey, that might be the move. You might turn some companies into some sovereign companies. That'd be wild. All right. To answer that final question, in the AI infrastructure space, a $30 million loan is typically used to finance a fully built out pod or cluster, racks. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like these big, like freaking one vertical rack is what I'm thinking. 30 million would buy NVIDIA H1 or newer Blackwell B200 chips. So you're buying the best of the best, but not that much of them. Standalone 8 GPU node for the Blackwell 350, 400, 750, around estimating utilization rate. That's the big one. Who are you getting to use the GPUs that you own, right? Are you lending them out over cloud? Are you lending them out to a business in person? Are you creating that demand for yourself? What's going on? Monthly hours, 730 hours a month. Give me that. $2. You can run to like the best models average about like a $2 token per mil cost rate. So that's kind of where the $2 coming from, I think. Damn. So, I mean, for a $30 million asset, it's guesstimating 45 to 67K per month. I don't know if that's really in your wheelhouse there, bub, but post paycheck windfall, the real cash flow boom happens in year 4. That's what they're going for here. 4 or 5 year payoffs on the Blackwell chips. Anyway, get yourself some loans. Get leverage up. Okay, lane 3, attention economy and health. So I think it's pretty valuable. It's interesting that they bring that up, the data centers. So lane 3 for me is attention economy and health. Capital markets was lane 2, AI and tech was lane 1. They took an enterprise route, private credit, and now attachment economy. We've moved from the attention economy to the attachment economy. AI chatbots are building intimacy with children. Bro, you gotta be shitting me. Quoted from this video, before the models of social media companies were attention economy, they were trying to grab attention, which was already psychologically powerful enough. Now we are moving from attention to attachment, which creates even more profound links between the humans using these tools and the actual businesses of the companies. I know we have some Meta Instagram business going to court over addictions and things like this. So we will see. This is definitely an interesting topic. I think this is a very important topic. I don't like the take. I think it's probably intimate. It's probably very likely that this is true, that people are having intimacies and like revealing deep things and creating attachments with these agents or with these models. I think it's true. I think people need to navigate that with much awareness. I don't like the way that it's framed here. I obviously know it's a headline, but the implications of this are very, very big. Like, who are you and what are your intentions when you're having a combo with AI? I think is a very big thing. Let's check this out. So at Davos, at the World Economic Forum, someone said that 300 million children are reportedly sexually abused in the digital ecosystem annually. I could see that. And then that's a lot, by the way. Gen Z spends 6 to 9 hours daily online. It's true. AI chatbots are creating intimacy and companion attachments. Okay, I want to see what it's based on. Matt Gray from my feed broke through this morning. Huge outlier. This is what great writing looks like. Oh, all right. Good job, my boys are cooking. All right. Yeah, it's like, what are the incentives here? These companies, come on. before we get into it, before I get my rant going, because I might pick that one. It's so good. It's so juicy. Let's watch the video. Oh, it's a 45-minute vid. All right, well, I'm going to pull this in and have my agent pull the creds on this and give me... Can you pull the highlight reel of this World Economic Forum discussion and just like surface stats and proof and credibility around the claims that are being thrown around intimacy with children, exploitation sexually with children, and then attachment economy versus ecosystem economy, please? And then if you want, you can add that to the Engine B board. That'd be sick. Because look, Engine B, remember the question I asked? Yeah. Let me plug that through. Remember back in the day, 15, 20 minutes ago, I asked, is this stream safe? What's working? And it was able to pull in the different boards that I have activated right now on Eden. Keep forgetting we're using Eden. It's such a natively seamless tool. And so it's looked like it's seen it. So it will be able to push to that board when the time is right. So I don't want to watch it necessarily, but what's fascinating is that, Engine B finally did come up for us. This is not the one that we're going to run, but this was the run of show. So I'll come through for you before we go any deeper and describe what this magician is doing. So Engine B run a show. I'm thinking about doing live streams a couple times a week from the perspective of like reviewing the market and showcasing my process of taking raw live information, talking about it, and turning it into coherent thought from my side. So I like to oftentimes take live content, live context, and just ramble on it. I just get inspired, and it connects to new ideas in my brain. And so I end up just talking to AI kind of around in a loop for a little bit after I've decided that this is a topic that I want to go deep on. And what happens is eventually, I work my way into coherence and give this raw idea that had all these different aspects to it, a sort of framework, potentially into, a strong written article form, into some clean messaging in paragraphs. And that's just how I use AI. Is I take raw ideas and I turn them into coherent text and writing, capturing the raw thoughts as they come. Essentially, it's my form of writing in a sense nowadays. I really stopped writing, and I started yapping, and it's been working. But the writing process is so important once you start getting into the refinement of each little word in the copy. So anyway, the philosophy, this is not a content production system more as its cognitive performance. I didn't write this. This is what the Engine B thinks it is. The show solves what killed every previous archetype, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's just like every time I've tried to make content, it's come out as this baloney, like fragmented. It just doesn't capture how I felt at the time of making it. And so the best way for me to do that in the form of text content is to capture it live in its original form and refine that all the way down. It's kind of calling it it's calling it a cascade. It likes that word, kind of taking an original idea and just cascading down through the process and into brevity. The 10-word tweet, from raw interview to 10-word tweet. So that's kind of what's cooking. The pre-show, I was going to read the three lanes and then pick one. And then what I would do is, have a bit of a conversation, 5 to 10 minutes on it. Just a little ramble. Just a wee little ramble. So that Eden can kind of start piecing together some of the dots that I want to pull together. So before we do that, I think we might have some, it's still working over here, on some highlight reels. Maybe if it's just proof and tweets. Let's just see what we get.
Kids, especially these general purpose conversational chatbots, is that they're creating intimacy and companion attachments.
I mean, the
between
panel
kids
itself is not looking
and
too hot. I'm not
machines.
gonna lie.
And this is not something that ever existed before. Before, the models of social media companies were attachment economy, attention economy. They were trying to grab your attention, which was already psychologically powerful enough. Now we are moving from attention.
I think I get the point. It's the concept. It's not
what is the actual beneficial
what they have to say about it. Sometimes the World Economic Forum speakers are just, I don't speak down on people, but are they our best representatives? I feel like that's a theme. Anyway, that is the concept of the show. I hope you enjoy. It'll go for, I don't know, shoot. It's been 30 minutes. We'll probably go for another hour. You know? No biggie. Go for another hour. Get some ideas on this one. I think that this is an interesting topic, though. And I think it's worth discussing. Okay. I see. So I'm going to come back into this chat that I kept up and pick the lane. It likes the 4 work patterns. I'm kind of interested in this attention economy one. If I had a chat that was active and live, we'd be able to pick and decide and pick and choose. But since I don't think we have a chibbity chipper in here, which is all good for a little test stream, I don't think you have a say, to be honest. I kind of want this to come through. Okay, so it did. So I'm going to take this, pulled it and saved it to be engine B source packet locally. Engine B synthesis line. The old internet wanted attention. So I have some thoughts on it. I don't know if their proof is really going to make me feel like we're there, but I do think it's worth bringing up as a point of concern for the future. So let's pull this bad boy up. Let's see if we actually got it. It might be in this one. Be run a show. I'm gonna give it a little refresher. Yeah. And must be here. Add to the board. It didn't add to the board. This is the kind of nuances. Like, I'm trying to get my OpenClaw, not live with Jack, because he's my bot, to be able to run fluently between these two. All right, so this response alone deserves to be put in the day's board. Perfect. So there's the response. All right, I'm going to be running my interview with you on the topic selected attention, attachment. I don't think the evidence that was pulled in the World Economic Forum was really convincing, if that's the right word, of where we're at. The way that they're talking about it, I don't think is where we're at. But I think they bring it up as a good point, as that's where we're going. I think when you think of the first AI movie I could think of is Her. I mean, obviously Terminator, but like in the modern era, Her. That was when AI got on this guy's phone and Joaquin Phoenix fell in love with his phone. And so, is that okay? Is that okay? Are we as humans allowed to do that? I think there's a lot to be said about what's already happened with hentai and AI and all these. It's a disgusting field to me. I think it's a grievance and a nuisance to God that this stuff exists, but I think it's because it's an outlet for a lot of people that don't have an outlet, and I think for them it's a choice that they get to make. And so I think where we're at is there's a lot of people that are off the deep end in terms of like porn, hentai, gooning, this whole banana shemanza. I think that that's not okay. I think that's bad for the body. I think it's unhealthy. I don't think God wants us to be wanking. Straightforward, that's my opinion. You can have your own opinion. It's totally fine. I totally understand if you need to, right? If it's something that is an emotional crutch, if it's a numbing device, if it's something you would go to instead of maybe going to drugs or alcohol, weigh your evils, right? But let's be real here. We need humans. We need human connection. And so if we extrapolate this, I would say the market, the scheme of things, I think this is a great question too. And ultimately, here's what I want to have happen. This is a good time to pause before I go on any deeper ramblings to say, this is why I want this system to be really functional and fluid, because as I go into these conversations with AI about these topics, about the future, they're very broad, macro, interconnected topics. They have a lot of implications. And so when I have a topic that goes down this path of ethics, morality, porn, masturbation, and connection, there's already a gamut of things that I would want to be pulled up as research to support this sort of avenue as a lens, right? Is it even okay? What does God say? Like, I'm not a Christian, I'm not religious. What does God say about this stuff? How big is the market for it? You know, what are the incentives? Well, the incentives are companies make money. I know there's Pornhub and like RedTube and all these fucking crazy, nasty websites. It's all like one big company that they just make a bunch of money selling pornography and ads. So what are you gonna do, right? People like Sophie Rain are making more money than LeBron James. So OnlyFans as an ecosystem and a little pocket of the creator economy, huge, right? Where does this all go? You know, I think Joe Rogan has some very interesting takes, but they're a little out there. They're a little like he thinks we're becoming aliens. Like, I don't know if that's what we want. You know what I mean? I know Elon's out here trying to go to Mars. I don't know if you want to become a Martian, but I feel like that's kind of what you do. If you're one of those people, you're like, that's just the energy that it gives off. What do we think? How big is that market? Let's start there, because this is the topic that we're selecting for the day. Ultimately, I'm going to select this topic. We're going to have a short little back and forth interview about it. And then I'm going to have AI do some deep research on the topic, similar to what I was doing here, the best clips that it pulled. We don't have to watch the clips. We can, as our other AIs potentially do some research, but I just feel like this is a very important topic for the macro of where we're going. You know, if you look 5-10 years out and you look at the internet and AI and robots and how humans are using AI every day, it's like, let's figure out where we're at on the population thing, on the birth control, birth rate thing, on the masturbation, on the gooning thing, on the social isolation and loneliness thing. I think that's a part of this problem as well. And I think if you extrapolate all of this into a trajectory that says, if nothing changed, where would we go, right? If there was no force that came into that conversation and maybe influenced people to do things maybe a more healthy way, maybe balance out their human and their robotic needs. Like maybe that's something that we could do. But I think from that perspective, I mean, the World Economic Forum is already talking about intimacy in children and the sexual exploitation of children online, and Gen Zs clearly are not using less of the internet, at least not to my knowledge. I don't know. I think this is worth digging into and having a bit of a research conundrum about for the next half hour. I think it's worth it for me to go deep on this topic for the one time. For the first stream, for the test stream, while no one's here, why the heck not? So let's see. There's some clips in there. It didn't actually put it into my thing, so I'm gonna put my chat into this chat. What's this? Running the full brief. I think what I also want is to just click. I think this is fine. Well, let's see. At workspace item. I think what I can do. Ooh. I don't want to be in there. I think I want to come into the here and at engine B. Oh, I think this is also in the wrong. No, that's for today. 0, 0, 0. All right, let's just run this through. It's a ramble. So let's see what it thinks. I'm gonna move us up the max model. I'm gonna come down here. Boom, boom, boom. A, B for breath. I see. So this is the run a show. So what happens next? I mean, I'm gonna just let this thing run its course today and let the feedback be what it is on my part. So segment 1, we did this. Initial takes, we did those. Segment 2, we did the pick. Segment 3, the handoff, we sort of kind of tried. It didn't go as good. So this is kind of where the experiment is being able to build out a deep board right here. Being able to build out a deep board of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 topics connected to this main take. And then have my agent go and do research on it. So we still might be there. We might just be going slow. I might just be going too deep into it. Okay. Based on the breadth of information and the different topics that I brought up initially on that little ramble about the selection that we made, can you do a bit of a mind map or a bit of a expansion of the board into our 4 or 5 different angles that we pulled up? Because I don't even think that's all the angles that I could go for. So I want to see where we're at and then maybe have a short little 30-second, 1-minute little synopsis of where I think we're going and where I'd actually like to see us go and how I think we might be able to change that. And then we can have the AI go do some deep research potentially and scour the market for some informations that are better than that forum, because that forum was full of fucking bings, whatever that means. This also was used on a light model, so I'm gonna come in here and run it on a max model after that. See what kind of difference we're working with here on Eden. This is my first time truly using it. I've built out a couple little things. This is my first time really using Eden for research. Outside of, for real. So we'll see how it stacks up to mine. So I'm going to come back in here real quick and say that this did not land in the board. And let's just see what my guy says. Maybe it's a authentication deal. Best clips. I think putting this in with those clips is valid. Let's see what he says. Zoop. Now this is the thing we love about AI, is just dead time, waiting for prompts to respond. Okay, that came back, so let's send this in on max. I asked it to build out the board. It doesn't look like it wants to. Oh, here it is. It wants me to manually do it. Oh, look, saved a board. So here's what I actually want, because I like using nodes. Send a board. And I'm just going to take that little angle 1, angle 2. Yeah, this is good. This is what I want. I wish it would do this for me, but because, why am I the guy? This is the agent's job. When you have this shit dialed in, you have a prompt or an agent that comes in and selects each angle and adds them to the board, connects them with lines and edges. Porn consumption and nodes. It's funny how we're talking about nodes and edges, and on the screen we're talking about nudes and edging. Oh boy. What have I done? What have I done to myself on the first one, talking about this godforsaken material? Well, hopefully it'll be a good lens to like how I'm actually thinking about this stuff. It's not about, for me, what's happening this month, what's happening this week with this stuff. It's how big is the market? How big has the market grown over the last 4 years since COVID? Since the pandemic? Where was it in 2019 before any of this shit happened? This is the type of stuff that I think having a conversation about to figure out, where the fuck are we going, man? I genuinely say that, and I don't swear that much, but I think the emphasis placed on that is so important, because this is what they're talking about at the World Economic Forum. This is like where it happens. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there anything such here as like reference, like connecting? Is it just a freaking list? Like, what is this exactly? So I guess you can have a chat with each little piece, which I don't need. Here's what I'll do. I'll put this right there. Those are our 5 angles so far. I'm going to chat with this. Let's see, actually, before we get that in. This did not land. It's still thinking. I'm just going to put this in directly as a link. Copy. Media. Insert. Actually, I'll insert the link for sure. The World Economic Forum of them talking about it. I'll then paste the response. Oop. What is happening? My insert link. It must be broken. Create doc. A little glitchy, perhaps. No harm, no foul for the boy. Interesting. I think it might be because I'm in OBS that it's messing with that. Because I'm trying to just copy paste. Maybe I didn't copy it. Maybe it's a user error. Copy link. Paste link. There you go. So there's that. So that'll kind of show us what we picked. All right. So I just think, like, the people on that panel, can we get a second look? Man, I don't know if these are the people we want talking about our children's fertility in connection with AI. Am I a better option? I don't know, but like, this guy's not looking too healthy. These two are like older than my parents. Oh boy, capital of
to what you say, and it's defied solutions, remedies for many years.
Oh, let's take a look at some of these. There might be some blasphemous claims happening here. 9:45 to 12 to 10:12. 9:45 to 10:12. Physical realm. We're happening. I think the World Economic Forum was a freaking spiritual event, to be honest.
The online world, they're not in the physical realm, while the harms and the impacts on the mental health, on the well-being, health more broadly, interactions and life outcomes is as severe, or if not more, when it comes to the digital world. I will give you a trigger warning because things that I talk about mostly also relate to sexual exploitation and abuse of children in the online ecosystem, but also then other types of harms that are associated to it, and more broadly mental health related issues. Just kind of to set the scene, annually 300 million children are reported to be sexually...
Okay, so that was that. And then to 36, I don't think we need to listen to what that has to do with anything. It's pretty much just her speech is...
Generative AI.
Yeah, generative AI and sexual imagery, sexual harassment.
So children.
A lot of normalization around this behavior. There is a culture around this behavior, and it is, yeah, for these young kids, it is a painful road to walk. I went through this, not personally, but in my school, middle school, high school, just tons of this stuff. Really painful, and like just even to be around, it's just bad energy, it's bad vibes. 69 hours online. So this is all of the attention economy has become attached. So I want to see what they have to say about that. 12:09 to 12:35. It's really just her speech. Look at this. Everything it pulled was in this like 9-minute to 13-minute range. 12:09.
Attachments between kids and machines. And this is not something that ever existed before. Before, the models of social media companies were attachment economy, attention economy. They were trying to grab your attention, which was already psychologically powerful enough. Now we are moving from attention economy to attachment economy, which creates even more profound links between the humans using these models and the actual business models of the companies. The reason why we are worried is because children are seen mostly by businesses as resources. Children are the early adopters of technologies.
I like that take. Good take. Children are the early adopters of technology, and they are seen by businesses as resources. I think that's the best take. I'm going to copy that into right here, actually, like this little bit. I'm going to put that in the board because I think that's valid. Reference on the board. Oh, I guess just create a doc, huh? Or create a card. Is that the right move? Yeah. Create a card. I'm going to just call these clips. Oh, I'll put them all in there. Fuck it. I mean, I'm never going to probably come back here, but for the memes. This is a very sensitive topic to start my day off with. I don't know how this is going to affect my mental health. Age loss. I mean, yeah. So, is it really that exciting or happy of a topic? No, not really. So let's have a conversation. Let's have the freaking conversation, man. So, we've picked our topic. I want to have a short back and forth about where I think the quote unquote experts think we're at, where I think we're going, and where I think we need to change. Because I don't think the trajectory that we're headed in is the right one for us. I don't think we, as a society, end up with kids that are healthy mentally, physically, and spiritually if they spend 10 hours a day talking to AI robots in the ways that they are now. There's a large awareness of the sexuality that happens online and in these cultures. The market is pretty damn big, as you can see. OnlyFans did 6.6 billion in gross last year. Character AI, $100 million monthly active, 100 million monthly active users on Character AI. A replica revolt. The porn industry is being flooded with deep fakes. 15 to 20 billion is the whole porn industry. The soul, it says, angle 4, the soul, ethics, God, and the question of what makes us human. Is it okay for humans to fall in love with machines? It's up to you, man. It feels heavy on my heart, and it feels like it takes away from the truth of humankind as a biological creature and being gifted these bodies and being able to create sacred intercourse and recreation and procreation. I think you'd best spend your time doing something else. But I understand it's actually a play on the attention more than anything. It is a distraction away from the lives that have been kind of set up for these kids in the first place. So I don't think this is where we want to go. I think most people could agree on this. How do you change it? I think there's business incentives that come in. People with a lot of money have to come in and change the incentives behind these companies. But I think the way and the practices and the standards that we actually employ into AI as prompters, as users, is the biggest difference. I think as individuals who are primarily consumers, which we have been for generations, besides the providers and the business owners, the creators, there has been there's just an ingrained habit or behavior of using tools as entertainment or distraction or consumption or, doctoring up and making your favorite little, getaway, that much better. So I think ultimately it comes down to us as individuals, of course, us as parents, of course, to infuse great user habits and I think more fundamental truths around who are you as a human and what do you respect, what do you value? Because if you see yourself as an individual who is a gooner and that's your identity and you might feel trapped in that, well, let's talk about getting you some help to make you a productive participant. As a human being, you have this level of potential latent in you. Everybody, as a 5-year-old, you have this infinite trajectory of possibilities that you could come to realize. You could be an astronaut, you could be a president when you're 5, you could be a scientist, a rocket man, you could be an athlete, you could be a business person, you could be a middle manager, you could be a trash man. And you could be the best dang trash man in New York City, for all I care. But you could also, as a 5-year-old, see yourself growing up and getting addicted to pornography and addicted to the dopamine hits that come with, ejaculation. And you could get yourself stuck in a loop of toxic content that you can't get out of. And so I think there's a lot of people that are there right now. I think there's a lot of people. Clearly the market's $20 billion. Hello. There's quite a few freaking people. And I don't know about you, but I don't know the last time I've ever paid for porn. So 20 billion? Where's that money coming from? It's coming from ads. So let's go down that rabbit hole so first off, AI angle number 1, the size of the market. Oh shoot. Let's actually, So I was talking about angle number 5, the soul. And then I jump to angle number two, angle number one. So see how I do that, right? I'm having this deep conversation. I'm yapping and rambling on my soapbox, and then I clearly see and pivot towards something like angle one, and change my conversation. And that's when I should clearly. I'm going to pivot to a new angle. So that's that, right? And that can get attached as a thing to angle 4. So angle 1, I was talking, and I'm saying, when you think about all of these people, I don't know the last time I've paid for pornography. 100 million daily active or monthly active users on Replica AI, Erotica. So the attachment is real, I suppose. It's not hypothetical. It's bigger. It's a bigger problem than I thought. The porn industry is $20 billion. Again, I said, I don't know the last time I've ever paid for porn. Who and what is all that money? $20 billion. Is it mostly advertisements? Is it mostly production? Is it mostly the users paying? Oh, so it did answer that question. So this will send me on a nice little tangent here. Who's paying for this shit? OnlyFans economy is 7.22 billion gross in payments, up 2,500% since 2019. That's astronomical. That's the COVID pandemic for you, the loneliness, isolation stuff. Yep, and AI companions do indeed reduce loneliness. So there's some evidence there from Harvard Business School last year. But where does that $97 billion? Oh, it's $97 billion? Oh my gosh, up from the $20 billion older estimates? Oh my goodness gracious. Who the heck is consuming all this porn? Tube and free content networks, 30 to 35% ad supported. Creator subscription, 25 to 30%. And live cam platforms, 15 to 20%. 3.88 billion monthly visits. So about, over a third of the human population is visiting monthly. Okay. $99.99. $9.99 premium advertisement, ad-free content. 12% of all websites on the internet contain porn. 60% of all porn traffic is direct. Users just type the URL. 2% is social, 30% is organic. So, man, fertility and relationships. So it hit on all these different points as well for us. So here's what I want to do. I think we've had plenty of angles. I'm going to add these to the freaking thing. Intervention question right here. And I'm going to run my AI agents on this question. This is going to be my thesis. Regulation is starting to happen, but regulation floor sets safety by design. The question is whether well-being by design becomes a competitive advantage or a cost center, a floor. No major platform has adopted well-being metrics as a core metric of KPI. Engagement is still the only number that matters to the investors. Harvard finding is the most important for intervention design. AI companions can reduce loneliness. The outcome depends on the usage pattern, not the tool. It's true. It doesn't mean you're gooning if you're talking to AI. I think there's fine lines around these things for sure. And it's a nuanced topic. Oh, I wanted to just add this to the board. Man, I didn't think I'd be doing this. I'm going to add this to the board. It's 10. This is all, send to the board. I'm going to just have, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to send these to the board. Check my AI and see if there's any connection between the board and my tool. Ooh. Like, this is huge. Behavior and fertility relationships. The thing that concerns me is culture and attention. Like, where is our attention focused? Like, why are these people doing this? Do they need it? Are they lost? Do they not have other options? Are they stuck? Are they tricked? Are they being tricked for money? Are they being are their souls being extracted from them? I don't know. Where? Maybe that is a fucking soul thing, dude. Your soul is getting extracted from your corpus. AI companionship in the porn industry. I think it's very much connected in that conversation. So I think the big question here, because we have plenty of angles to do research on, I think the intervention is the biggest thing. Obviously, regulation is beginning to happen because everyone is seeing this as a long-term problem. But the issue is, I think, an individual consumer level. Are they just being tricked? Are they being stolen? Is their attention being stolen? Are their souls being sucked out of their bodies? These are the questions that I want to have answered. If in 5 to 10 years this trend continues at the same rate that it has been since pre-COVID, post-COVID, maybe you're flattening out a curve of, an exponential original spike during COVID, and now maybe you're flattening out. Maybe you're continuing to grow. I don't know. But I think the bigger decision is, as an individual, there's 3.8 billion monthly people, and it's like, it's not all unhealthy. Not all porn use is unhealthy. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. That's not really my thing to judge. But I think if you're like a daily gooner or like a payer, I don't know, you might have a problem, right? Erectile dysfunction in 20% of active men. So there's some problems, right? And we didn't even get into like the alien stuff. I don't think we need to go that far. But there's some fertility issues happening. There's some real concerns. The question is not whether it's our job to ban this stuff and block this stuff, because I'm not really for it. I don't think that is what we need. I think it's a cultural thing. You need to give cultural pressure to the people who are users, and then give them voices, give them leaders that can help them out of that trap, and then give them help and options. Make them feel like they're seen, because there's billions of these guys. And gals, I'm sure. And so, I guess from the intervention side, I'm more interested on a trajectory side. What happens if nothing changes over the next 10 years? And what needs to change to make sure that we return to a healthy level of human function? Or are we too far gone? And is it only about shit? Keeping the best of the best in the gene race? I know there's a lot of people about that. That's my final question for the day. And let's see. So this is, for everybody watching, for myself included, this is the end. This is me bottoming out on the topic. Pretty much after having all of that discussion and getting all of that information over an hour, where the fuck are we going? It always comes back to that question. Where are we going and why? And what can we do to change it if in fact that is not where we would want to go? What is our trajectory? Straight up, homeboy. So let's take this. This is the synopsis of the end of the day. The intervention isn't a policy problem. 377 million OnlyFans users, 233 million character AI, 3.88 billion monthly users to a single tube. Let's create a new tube. Health tube. Brain tube. Not that kind. This kind. Let's get yourself on the right track, on the right path. so that we can create a better human race. All right. It's only about keeping the best in the gene race. Well, that's the dark trajectory of it, isn't it? We might be there. Anyway, this is the final piece of the puzzle, the final angle. So I'll add it to the dock. Boom. So now let's go to Telegram here and give ourselves a little second. This is a bigger problem than I thought. Until the credential. So let's refresh the credential and let's run an adversarial evaluation and build a knowledge graph, enriching all of the data that we have taken, all of the different angles around this topic. Create two distinct agents. One that is a doomer that thinks we're already too far gone, that the only trajectory left for this conversation is a dark one. Or if there is some godly, heavenly, loving light that could come in and change the trajectory of this. I think, I'd want to know objectively, if nothing changes, where are we going to be in 10 years in this situation? And then 2, have that adversarial evaluation on those two sides, and at the end of it, let's see that transcript and let's see what you guys think about, because there's some very interesting concepts and topics there, and I definitely put in some thoughts. So this is what I want to do. This is the workflow I'm testing. Can I yap about a topic, bottom out on a question, have my AI run an evaluation on it, and is that possible? Can I get an outcome that I actually want, which is my lens applied to a topic after an hour's worth of work or chatting and shit? I don't think if I was doing this live stream, I would pick that one. I probably would have picked the AI GPTs. The private credit markets, because this one is kind of hurting my tummy because it's such a gross one, but I think it's a good frame for where the fuck are we going. It's a good frame to start that off. So what's going to happen? I'm going to try and get this thing ripping. What might end up happening is some Chrome approvals of some MCP credentials. We will flip and see. But there's the intervention problem. And I gave it that clean read. So ultimately, at the end of the day, this is our board after an hour. Obviously, this is not is it a profitable conversation? No, it's not a profitable conversation for me. And nobody I know is making money on this conversation. Besides maybe the AI that's being used to do the research. But we give it. Oh, here we go. So the agent came through with the MCP authorization. I got to get that off my screen at once. Let's see. Looks like we got that. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do, because I don't want to be deprimido while this freaking waits. Let's check the markets. Because there's no where the F are we going without some where the F are we? And we are here today in the markets on July 2. Bitcoin's at 61.5, pumping off of the lows after the last 2 days, catching support after the dip to 57,750. It broke the low and wicked through, and it is ripping. If we can connect with this mid-band at 66 and break through, I'm in the money and ready for the next bull run, to be honest. But everything across the board is still saying, you're early, pay attention, wait. You're early, pay attention, wait. You're below your mid-band, you have not broken into any bullish categories or territories or trends. Follow the trend is your friend. That's Bitcoin's TA for you. Let's move these over. Everything's actually up. Let's see. Altcoins are up today. WorldCoin up 7%, 6 on near AI coin. Some AI business. These are flat. Grass is up though on some low volume. MicroStrategy is up with Bitcoin. MicroStrategy is up 7 while Bitcoin's up 2.5. So MicroStrategy, if you guys didn't know, got completely nuked into an oblivion last week and the week before and the week before and the week before. Terrible FUD as Bitcoin came down from 80K. Especially right here. Michael Saylor got some huge backlash on his strategy, on his fund, on his products. I think the stretch product decoupled from what it was actually supposed to be at. So all sorts of shenanigans and tomfoolery. It's far beyond the lows of anything that I could see playing out. I don't know if this is a strong asset, but it is outperforming Bitcoin. So if you're bullish Bitcoin, you might be able to catch along. There's people I know that are my trader friends are in this trade at 83, 84, 85 with that invalidation of, they might be in here at 86. Their invalidation was breaking new lows. And so they're just kind of riding. But that's a Bitcoin market. I think when you zoom out though and you look at, your S&P, this is minis. But I mean, unless you make a crater, I don't think anything bad's happening. I think we're seeing a traditional slow summer after a frickin' rip. But I don't see these usually breaking tail that quick. I also think going into midterms, there's a clean narrative for Trump continuing to push and pump the market. Yeah, I mean, as good as my TA is on the macro, it's like, just follow the trends, man. You're riding support for so long, you crash through, hit support, riding, and you turn it back into support, and now you're riding it again on the weekly. I think you might be able to see something around that 7K range, but I don't know if it'll last. If it goes down to 7K, I think we might be in for a bit of a doldrum into the end of the year. But something tells me that end of summer's coming. It's holding. The war's over-ish. So, my quant is bullish on the S&P until Q4. Oh, wow, yeah. Blunder. I'm just thinking about a message I sent. I sent the blunder. I said Q2, not Q3. Happens to the best of us. Busy people, busy lives. You forget to catch up. Anyway, show them your colors, baby. All right, done. This is actually in Eden now. What changed? Refreshed the Eden MCP. Created the Engine B board today. Added the original WEAF. The forum highlight reel doc. Saved your YouTube URL card. Ran the 2-agent adversarial evaluation. All right, so there's our TA segment concluded. Altcoins are catching bottom bids. SpaceX is retraced. Elfine. Ran the 2-agent adversarial evaluation. Okay, I'm interested to see that. Added 3 new board documents. the WEEF Children AI Attachment Economy adversarial transcript, the Children plus AI Attachment Economy knowledge graph, the Attachment Economy final synthesis. So it did, let's see. I don't know if it's going to pass my quality standards for enriched data, for positive value add. This is a system that I use for market intelligence in my business and for clients. And so me running these systems and testing these experiments out day after day, potentially, or every couple days, is me improving the workflows and the quality of the fulfillment for my business. So that's why I'm doing this. And maybe this gets turned into content, but maybe not. We're not really close to brevity yet, are we? We do have a question. Where the fuck are we going and why? I don't know if I want to talk about this stuff though. It's kind of grim. All right. Let me make sure everything is going on the stream perfectly fine. An hour and 20. We're on time, I think. I don't think I'm going to be streaming for 4 hours or anything. I haven't even checked YouTube. Hopefully it's live. I don't. We'll see. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully it's not insane. Hopefully. I'm confident. I know how to do this stuff. All right. So what did it actually say it did? It added some documents to the board. And so this is something that's like, okay, well, where? Intervention question. Maybe I got to refresh. I don't see nothing. I saw it did some stuff, but what do you mean? Porn and gooning is, gosh. It's a sad reality, isn't it, out there? I'm not seeing it, so maybe it's this. So he made his own board. What a goof. What a goofball. So how do I merge? How do I merge this? What if I just like split screen? Can I split? Open in pane. Perfect. So I should be able to just, oh. All right, move to board. I'm just gonna move them over. Well, let's analyze. So my agent uses these insane headers that makes it hard for me to read, but it knows exactly where it's doing. I think room for improvement. Confidence medium across the board. Again, it's look, I check for autonomy. Like, I don't want my agents just running stuff, so it says if I've checked it or not. As you can see here, human ratification required. So this is the synthesis. Let's check the synthesis and see what it came to. Short little synopsis. And here's what I'm going to do, because I think what's happening is I'm losing a bit of track of like what the run of show was going to be. So let's go to this Banuni. Let's go to this Banuni here. Daily brief run. This was that. So if you can see here, I had daily brief. I had show handoff, which I didn't do. I just kind of did it manually. I don't think we needed it. Cognitive interview. I kind of ran that on myself. Refinement cascade. Cognitive interview. Let's see what this is. And I'm gonna put in a message and say, I just had my AI agent run the adversarial evaluation on our board and on the frame of, are we fucked, pretty much. And so it came up with a heavy doomer gravity a little bit. It looks like the 10-year forecast, it says if nothing changes. And this all got added to a new, different board. So I'm going to have to merge boards and blah, blah, blah. But you can see engine B board. You'll be able to see the outcome of that adversarial evaluation. I guess I can tag it. Boom. and then also tag both boards. Perfect. So that's what's happening. I don't know. I've already sort of interviewed and had the deep dialogue on this thing. So I think we should interview me on the synopsis and the transcript and the knowledge graph of the adversarial evaluation. Let's try and stress test that. So there we go. Oh, nope. Let's see if my whisper flow caught any of that. Yep, I can just copy the transcript. Look at this, 405,000 total words. If you don't use whisper flow, man, I should get you a referral. It is so good. So good. All right, so there's that. Let's have that run. By 2020, I think this is the big clip. Like, if anything, if nothing changes in the Gooner economy, by 2026, AI companions are normal youth infrastructure. The line between the friend, tutor, coach, therapist-like listener, and entertainment character is blurry. Children will be extremely vulnerable and will be at the edge, leading edge of harm, which makes sense. Synthetic exploitation materials expand the enforcement burden. That's a big sentence. Detection improves, but dynamic relational manipulation becomes harder to govern. Okay, that makes sense. The deeper a conversation goes, the more complex and the more relationally manipulated it can be. Regulation still chases product categories unless it shifts to relational duties of care. So watch out for therapist models, watch out for teacher models, things like this, friend models. And then the most important safety question becomes, what is the system allowed to become to a child? Now that is a conversation and a question that I think needs to be had across hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people need to weigh in on that. I would love to sit out in front of the world, in front of millions of people, and ask the question, what is an AI system allowed to become to a child now and in 10 years when AI is even more prevalent than it is today? Where are we going in the world of AI relationships and companions and sexual orientations, and is it the direction that we want to be going? Is it an intentional reality where the lines are blurred between human relationships and robot relationships? I am up to interpretation. I have a mixed opinion. I think the line should be drawn around health and procreation and mental health, spiritual health, and physical wellness. I'm a proponent and a prosperous person for Earth, right? I'm pro-Earth. So I don't know. If you're a pro-Mars person, you might be like, fuck it, like Gooner robot. You know, I don't hate it either. Like I'm not negative, but I do think it's a valid question that we should be asking, and we should be having these conversations now before we start seeing like $2 trillion porn industry and like Gooners in school and stuff. Especially when we start seeing like AI robots for teachers, and you can like change the skin on your teacher. Like, what happens then? When my Fortnite, or when my 6th grade math class teacher skin is like a thick baddie, like what happens then? You know, things are gonna get out of control quick if we don't try to set the GPS now, is the point. All right, sweet. So I'm learning about credits too for whatever this is called, Eden. Turn on auto upgrade so this never interrupts you. It looks like running out of max Eve credits, so I'll just slow that down. So if I do these multiple times a week, and then also work with it, I'm gonna have to upgrade the tool for sure, ski. Cool. I'm happy with that. Let's see. The most important frame: a child cannot negotiate with an intimate machine. Intimacy, I think. Connection and intimacy. I think robots can be extremely helpful, truthfully. I think they can help you heal. I think they can be an open ear in ways that humans can't, because they have no judgment. They have no judge bone in their body. Okay, so the doomer and the objective analyst agree on the transition. They disagree on whether the market has already captured the trajectory. The synthesis line that cuts through both is: a child cannot negotiate with an intimacy machine. The knowledge graph maps the failure clean. So let's check the knowledge graph. That's this one. That's the transcript. We'll read that next. This is the knowledge graph. I don't have the actual ability to see this. How do I see this? I would love for this to just be like, there's clear nodes here, but so that's the flop, right? Is like the knowledge graph visualization. It's shit, man. It's somewhere in here, but this like takes so long to index because there's so much happening behind the scenes. I don't think that's coherent. So good to know. Good to know. Boards it is. There's gotta be a way to visualize this stuff. Mother duck comes to mind. All right, let's see about this transcript. Like, was the adversarial evaluation worth the... Was it worth the credits? Was it worth the tokens? Engine board set up. Jack asked for 2 distinct agents, a doomer and an objective. The doomer's thesis, evidence-backed claims, dark trajectory, would have to be true, agent 2. This is not a transcript. Okay, so this didn't run the way I thought it would run either. It doesn't look like. Source packet. So this is what I'm gonna say. First off, thanks. You did a great job for the first run through. For number 2, the knowledge graph was not visualized. I was not able to visualize the knowledge graph and actually use it and explore it and see it with my own eyes. I was only able to see it in Markdown, and so that's a bit of a bummer. I wonder if there's a way to help us visualize the conversation that we're having here, maybe with Mother Duck, or if there's better ways to visualize knowledge graphs inside of what we're doing here. That would be an excellent improvement. And then on the second side, the adversarial evaluation, the transcript, it doesn't look like you actually ran a backroom session, and that's a bit disappointing. So that's a fail for this round. We went freaking deep on this thing. I guess we came to brevity at the end of it anyway, but I think it only leaves you with more questions. Where do we want to go, and why do we want to go there, and what can we do to get there, and what can we do to change the way that things are moving right now if they're not where you want to go, or maybe it's not worth your time, attention, and capital to change these things, and that's totally fine as well. So that's my take. At the end of the day, I think you can do whatever you want, and I'm not going to stop you. That's my take. But yeah, for you, Mr. AI, you did not run an adversarial evaluation. You did good research and you framed the 2 agents correctly using the data, but you did not run the eval or the backroom. And I don't want you to, because I don't really want to go any further on this topic. I've exhausted it personally. And makes me realize content, and from a content perspective, it was not the move to talk about this, because it's just not a fun topic, to be honest, but it does show the frame. We do have the YouTube video. We cutting it short? Maybe not. Maybe in the future we'll end up going deep on writing content about whatever the topic is of the day, making a LinkedIn post about it, publicizing the clips and the quotes and the articles and the visualizations that hopefully potentially future get created. And yeah, I think it's fine for a 0-0-0 run. And then these, I mean, it also didn't put it in the right board. So that's a fail as well. 3 fails. But we did it. We showed up. And that's all you can ask for. So I appreciate you. Let me get these into the right boards. Apparently that was a popular video for the World Economic Forum, which makes sense. I'm not really the biggest fan of the World Economic Forum and the institutional systems that underlie society and make the decisions. I'm glad they're talking about it. I think this podcast would have been a better representation of the true concerns, potentially, the true implications, the true scope of this conversation that needs to be had, but at least they're thinking about it. So thank you. If you watched this ever in the future, if you see the vision, if you see where this might go in the future, if you can appreciate any of the AI tooling and the workflows and the experiments, I love you. I love you. I love working with these tools. I love exploring. And I think in exploring in public and starting to publicize the thinking around why I'm doing the things I'm doing might make things make a little bit more sense. Because starting here with engine B doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you don't have engine A and engine C. So there's just some framing, some storytelling that needs to happen as to why I care about this stuff in the first place. Like, obviously, I don't spend my day thinking about this topic. It came up in the daily brief, and I figured it was called me in more than any of the other two in the moment. And hindsight's 2020. Funny how that saying goes. So anyway, I think that's gonna do it for the day. What did we learn today? We learned that the pornography industry is huge. We learned that it's actually a bigger problem than it gets talked about. I think there's a lot of people that are suffering, kids that are suffering, and that's a shame, and that shouldn't ever happen. And I think there's a nuanced territory between where AI is today and how it's being used and how good it is, and the use cases that it can actually have for us. Personally, I've used it for thousands of hours of healing work, mentally, physically, spiritually, that has gotten me to a place where I'm in a much better state and, taking much better action throughout the day in comparison to where I was even 5 years ago. So that's kind of a part of the origin story here that will come through. I'm still writing, and I'm thinking about sharing bits and pieces of that origin story as we go forward to give this lens a bit more context, to give the reasons why I care about where we're going more context. Because I don't think there's enough conversation, frankly, about what's going on. I love where we're going. There's so much opportunity. How could we not be excited? But the discussion about where we're going And why we're going there is one that's really deep and close and near to my heart. And I don't want to see us fly off the rails before we, or here's a good one. I don't want to see us get on the wrong entrance to a highway. I have a personal story about that I could tell. A couple months ago, I have a Tesla. A couple months ago, I was driving my Tesla on autopilot. No hands, hanging out, and I come to a red light underneath an underpass, getting off of a highway. Supposed to take a left, supposed to go up the hill, and the light turns green and my car drives through the on-ramp drives the off-ramp of the highway. It sees this stop sign, it sees this do not enter sign, and it drives straight past it. It's the circle like my freaking hat. It sees that, and so thank God there was nobody coming off of the highway. And this is only a month or so ago, guys. So it was an eye-opener for me, and it was a good metaphor for me to experience, to recognize. And this isn't the depths of the depths, but this is a pretty good example. Before we let our hands off the wheel, let's make sure that we have the GPS set in the right destination. Because if we don't, the car might get confused. We might go down the wrong exit, or hell, we might get on the wrong off-ramp. We might get on the wrong side of the highway. So I could obviously tell that story 10 times better, but and I'm sure I will, because I'm not suing Tesla or anything, but thank God that nobody was flying off the off-ramp on the highway. Am I right? So anyway, that's where I'm at. Where the F are we going is the theme. There's an old system that's breaking down is the lens, and there's a new system that's replacing it. And I don't think any of us really know what that system is yet. Makes you think. And I have a whole story to tell about why this path, why this topic, why not AI automation, why not tools, why not scale, why not sexy scale and growth and webinars, and because there's an origin story, and you'll be there next time when that comes through. So thank you if you ever watch this in the future. To anybody that goes back and watches 000 and sees how janky it is. Oh my gosh, we're on a show. Can you believe it? I'm happy, and I'm happy to be back streaming. It's early morning. I was up late last night. I'm tired. You can tell because my eyes are like death sockets, but also I'm wearing a hat. It's sunny, getting shade. So I love you. I hope you have a great day. I hope you thrive. I hope you're creating something in your life that's worth living for. And I hope you're realizing your full potential. So I'll see you in the next one. I don't know when I'm going to do this again. Probably a couple of days. Maybe we could pick a freaking better topic, Jack. Live with Jack. Come on. Freaking Gooner. Of course. Gen Z. What are you going to do with these Gen Zs? All right. I'll see you. Thank you so much. I love you. Live with Jack.